Morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Made it another week. What's up, everybody? Just busting this one out. Figured it'd be a fun one to do on camera. People get a little behind the scenes of some of the little simple techniques on this one. The key to this paint job has been this. My comb. This allowed me to develop all the textures on the kind of like simulated cables, rotating it around without having to like really cut these things on an arc. What I do is just kind of segment the area of reflection into what makes the most sense in the composition, and then use the broader teeth on the comb to kind of just airbrush through lightly to get that effect. We'll be doing some of that here in a little bit, but I'm going to keep going on with the darker colors and develop this side in shadow. So it's like the image is kind of a cross between a spider and a snake, and I almost want to call it something like pick your poison. I have no idea what this really is, other than something that kind of came out of my imagination, and I haven't had any references or anything. I've just been working from whatever's in my head and letting it flow. I'm setting up right now for final highlights, and I'm kind of just enhancing what I've already done with this blue color here. What I'm going to start doing is making the transition of light coming in from this side to dark over on this side. I'm going to start right in this area here. Transition and shadow. Basically a core shadow dividing my primary light source from secondary. Just a very simple effect. Just done with a lot of delicate airbrushing. I got one of the eyeballs here. How's everybody doing? You guys are all supposed to be working. Maybe not. Some of you guys over in Europe are probably coasting right now. the owner of the guitar, he's in Spain right now, so I've been waking him up with PMs and pictures of the instrument all night. Hopefully he's getting a little bit of rest today. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it, buddy. So, I was talking about the comb. I'll kind of show you real quick. So now I'm starting to get into the shadow side of this cable here. So what I'm going to do is just set up this cone, and I'm kind of lining things up here where the space was. So I'm not like kind of like countering the effect that I had with the first time that I used the comb. So you gotta be careful there. So I'm gonna line it up where it was protected before, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in here and just very loosely roll around and create that shadow, that edge of the cable. So what I've done is just basically knocked out that highlight that I've set up with a simple stroke like that. And I can do the same thing here too. This one doesn't have any guidelines to follow, so I'm just gonna throw in a mild suggestion of that. So this is how you complete this particular style of design, is just with a lot of it's just kind of letting people fill in the blanks with what you're providing them visually, and it's pretty much all I'm doing at this point. I'm kind of just suggesting this, and then your mind instantly picks up, well, it must go all the way around. And especially when you see it completely developed over here, it's, you know, just mere suggestions, some dots, some highlights here and there, but all that's being done simply with the comb. That was one of Geiger's effects. He used a lot of things like this with simple utilitarian devices for masking and to create shapes and different effects, and that's pretty much all I'm doing, is that basically the same thing. So everything on this side is going to be pretty much shadowed. I think I'm going to come in here and add this a little darker. Then I'll just put a stroke right up the center of that with this. And that picks up that. I'll probably come back in here with a little bit of highlight, but I wanted to give a little bit more separation there. So I'm varying the brilliances and the value contrast with these colors that are put down. Then I can come back in here with this and set this stuff up. Very subtle. To create the sense of roundness, I'm utilizing just the effect here with compressing these round scales down to more of a horizontal line, which kind of helps create this illusion of roundness on this. So as I get further towards the back of this, these are just going to be more or less dashes rather than actual shapes of scales, and that's forcing the sense of perspective on this, also the roundness. How's everybody doing? See if I missed anybody. Four people got nothing better to do. Right on. Well, I'm glad you guys can make it, man. Having a little fun with this one. This one's been a really fun piece because I I'm working with a customer who's known my work for quite some time and has really given me carte blanche to create something unique for his band and for his stage guitar. So I stripped down the back of the neck of this Jackson, so it's a soloist, but I got rid of the finish on the back of it, tapered out the heel, painting the pickups and rings. Very typical job for me, but the art itself is unique in the sense that I don't get a chance to really spread my wings a lot of times when I'm working with customers. They have visions they have goals they're trying to get out of their instrument, what they want it to look like, and so it doesn't necessarily give me a whole lot of latitude. This one here was one that I really been given free reign to do, and therefore it's really coming out pretty cool. Again, I'm going to mess with the comb, come back down in here. I got to move this back. Where was I? There we go. I'm just going to knock that back and create just that very subtle edge there. If you guys have any questions, fire away. I just kind of lean over and catch them periodically. Let's see, where am I at? Oh, it's just a little bit of work with the comb. Picking up the right edges, shadows, creating that illusion. Like you see, this is very, very loose right here. It's really undefined. It's basically just providing me a foundation to go back in and do some follow-up work with the story that I'm trying to tell visually. So you see, just that kind of opens up that shadow over this one down here. So now what I can do is I can take a little ellipse. I can find one around here. So in some instances, this will work great for different effects, shadowing and over top of this right here. Let's see if I can do this. So up here, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to cut this in, use this as an edge for shadow, creating that depth right through here. And I'll do that same thing in a couple of locations, but I hit the comb first and I keep flip-flopping back and forth with the comb, and then I'll be doing that again with the highlights too. And I'll show you some of that. So now I've got this edge set up. Now I'm just going to go in here with this little guy and create that round shadow that it would create over top of it. So light's still going to be affecting this area over here, and that's going to be worked on as soon as I finish up all this black here. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on down through here, take care of this stuff here. I'm only going to go live for about an hour today. Maybe later on this afternoon, Diana will have some free time and we can have a little bit better interaction as I finish this piece up. Again, thinking about where the shadow is, where is the light, where is it being affected on this? And I'm thinking about that when I'm working, and I'm adjusting things along the way and kind of like improvising to a certain extent, but just following some of the basic things that I've already done without stepping on top of all my work. Still bouncing around with the comb, seeing things pop up. Coming in for a shadow here. I don't know if this is really a good camera angle, but we'll try something else here. That's not bad. Let's try that. But I can't see the camera and answer questions, so I'm gonna have to like peek over every now and then. But if you guys have anything at all, fire away. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it, brother. Alex, great to see you too, man. Glad we could get together regardless of the occasion. Looking good, brother. Keep it up. It was hard to come back to Colorado. It was, so beautiful down there. But we've had some pretty good weather too right now, so I'm not complaining. 60s during the day. Better than back home in Pennsylvania, man. They're getting their asses clobbered, so pretty thankful. So again, I'm just taking this dark. This color I'm working with right now is just basically the color of blue that I used for the foundational work and all the underpainting. Then I added a little bit of black to it, a couple drops of white, kind of grayed it out a little bit. So it's kind of like a dark grayish blue. The orange is just straight orange. So basically we have the yellow, the orange, the blue, yellow, orange, blue. And we have the lighter color. So 5 colors so far involved in this particular painting. And I'm counting on a lot of the interaction, blending them on the surface to get the effect of what I'm trying to gain with the lighting and all that stuff. Trying to make for an interesting composition at the same time, so I'm just kind of regurgitating a whole bunch of stuff artistically that I've learned as an artist through so many years, just observing great people, great work from some great people, both airbrush artists and traditional media, paint and brush. And I think that's half of it, just opening your eyes up to what's around you and seeing how things are created, and then unleashing a world of your own on the public. That's pretty much how I like to work. But there's a lot to gain by reproducing things that you see and understanding why light hits an object a certain way, and these things all kind of just like catalog for you, and they become the guidance that you have when you really have no guidance. You're just working out of your imagination, and then some of the best stuff happens that way. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back in with the highlights so you guys can see how all this stuff kind of develops. I won't have to hang you guys on the phone too long just to be able to show you this little section. So right now I have 5 airbrushes going, maybe even 6. I've got all of them fired up, got the mojo rocking for me today. The old 222C, the Mojo Plus with the Mac valve on it. pretty much for everything on the detail at this point. I'll use like maybe an HPC for the foundational color, or the Rich Pen 113C. Something that's going to give me a little bit faster, broader coverage. Paint sat in a cup overnight. Give it a little bit of a shake. Kevin, what's up, buddy? How's the guitar business treating you? Hey, Chach. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it, man. Hey, Karen. Thank you. Yeah, this is just nothing but a whole lot of creativity and a little bit of paint. You'll notice I'm not jamming on any music right now. I haven't set up anything. I'm just kind of listening to the drone of the fan. So up here, I'm just going to kind of peek in some light, almost like it was kind of weaving in through the tentacles here. And I was going to show you guys this before I got too far along. So up in this area here in the center, if that's going to work, maybe. I've already set up with all the preliminary colors, a little bit of the black defining the edge. Most of the work was done with the foundational blue, but I coordinated these edges to work with what I had done with the highlights of the blue. So now, with the white, what I do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to line these up. That's the key thing. Otherwise, it starts to look cluttered. You can slide it a little bit, but you don't want to destroy the whole effect of the shape and stuff that you're gaining by doing all this foundational work and, you know, kind of setting it together, putting it together so you have this lines up with this and then things are continuous. It's really easy to do. It's not too difficult. Then I come back in with a little freehand. Also too, like for some of the edges, I can come up here and just a little bit of those, and then I can come in here, a little freehand. All of it's just a little bit of an illusion you're setting up. And again, you're allowing the viewer to look at something and interact, and they're going to put the rest of it together in their mind. They fill in the blanks of what they think they see. And there's so many artists who are just the best at that, but one always comes to mind. If you don't know him, you're probably not an artist, but Frank Vazetta was like one of the guys who was always like lead you into viewing something. He wasn't necessarily trying to be super accurate in it, but he was just supplying you with enough visual information that your mind did the rest of the work. And I think that's when you get the viewer involved with the process of art, and bringing them into that is what's key. Picking little segments, picking areas that I want to keep working with here. With the highlights and the form. Even if it blows out a little bit, it's no big deal, because you come in here, just kind of wipe it out. I'm going to come across the top here. highlight in there. Balance it out. Same thing here when it captures highlight before it turns back down here. You see this geometry here, this thing would actually rotate. So I'm going to actually stop before it gets to that point, and I'm just going to kind of pick up this edge. And then I'm also going to shadow. See, I got to shadow this here now. So I'm going to finish. I'll finish up with this highlight though, and then we'll move back to the shadowing where it needs to make a few corrections here and there. So don't throw away your combs. Good to stop every now and then and just sit back and look at the piece and see where you can make some improvements. I'll probably be doing that over lunchtime. We got how many minutes in here? Hey Felix, what's up, brother? No complaints. Andrew, how are you doing? I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I try not to get involved with that stuff anymore, with the dime bag stuff, because there seems to be an awful lot of litigation going on, and I don't want to get in the middle of any of that. And then, you know, obviously, you got to pay some respect to the dime. But those were always fun guitars. They were really controversial at times, you know. Nobody wanted to put the Confederate flag on their guitars for many years. I was always interested when it did come about, but it was the people who really were true dime fans that insisted upon it. I don't think there was anything negatively involved with that thing other than what people may have viewed. But yeah, not so much of that going on anymore. Here and hit the highlight here. Fade it out. So all this rendering with the highlights and the darker values all start to really set up a sense of depth. Create the illusion of depth, I should say. So now I'm going to come back in here with this darker value, and I'm going to punch some of this stuff back up again. I think this needs to be handled with a little bit of shadow work. So you're working and you're thinking, does this need to be more of a shadow? Does it need to be more picked up with a highlight? These are all things that when you're creating, you get a feel for, and you don't necessarily can over plan for it. A lot of freedom can be given to change things out to enhance a composition, to draw the viewer's eye. Some of it's just very subtle. I don't even pick that up, but there was just a shadow dropped in through here. So yeah, Andrew, a little bit of that, huh, buddy? Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a fun one. The customer had seen a guitar that I had done years ago that had something very similar with the cables, and I was thinking, yeah, this is kind of more like big ass guitar strings. I don't know, orders the relative shape of that make this appear smaller in scale because you relate to this as being the size of a guitar string, or say scale. It would skew the scale a little bit, but I'm hoping that it doesn't. I want the impact of this thing kind of involved with the intertwining of this and actually being part of this, almost kind of like a Predator hairdo. And the funny thing is that doing this for Simon is he's as bald as I am. So I don't know if that's going to offend him or not, but I don't think so. He's a good dude. And he gave me a lot of room to, create something kind of unique. So that's what I was really striving for. Something we haven't seen. Didn't want to just go out and replicate what I had done for the other customer too. So he gave me that freedom to do that with this, which is really cool when you get guys that allow you to do that. I'm going to start bringing some of the shadows down here. A couple more little corrections with the comb. So it's a little bit of bouncing back and forth when you're doing these things. You're picking up stuff as you're working, and you're seeing something. You're like, this would improve this. So I never feel like, in a lot of ways, this type of stuff isn't ever finished, as famously been said. But I think that giving yourself a little bit of room to bounce back and forth is good, but it can kill you at the same time as an artist. You start to neutralize what you've done, and you're overworking an area that maybe just could have been left alone. So that's the compromise. That's the balance. That's the yin. That's the yang. All right, now I'm going to get back onto the highlights here. The lighter color that I'm working with is not a pure white. It's got a little bit of, maybe a drop or two of black and a smidgen of blue in there, but certainly far from white. Now, if I really wanted to, and I didn't feel like the impact was strong enough with what I'm working with value-wise, I could come back in and some of these areas, just with a little bit of white, would pick them up. And that goes with the black as well. The darker value that I'm using isn't pure black. It's actually taken some of the blue and then added a little bit of black to it, and just a bit of white to neutralize it. And that's all part of all this happening all through here. It gives me room to kind of come back and change it. So now I'm going to use this guy here. Whoops, not one color. Some of the airbrushes. Alright. And the color here. Hit this with black. Down here. And a little bit of comb. Come back in here. Where was I? Lighter color again. Finish up here. I'm gonna have to put the other eyeball in here. It's missing. I think that's pretty good for up in this area, though. It gives you guys an idea how I use the comb for that. A little bit more here. I'm gonna back up a little bit with the camera. Whoops. That ain't gonna work. Alright, now I'm going to go back up top. Start a bit out here. Whatever, JB. I'm sending all that solid color your way, buddy. You just let me know when I overburden you with work. I think you got it down by now. But you know the game. There's a little bit here and there. All right, so now come back down in here, add a little bit of light to these teeth. Not much. Again, little patches of light making its way through the interweaving of the cables. It's about an hour, if not 10:33. Kind of hard to work without the music, I'll tell you that. I'll do a little yellow on the head here. Get some of those highlights back in there. You guys can see the final step. I don't know if I'm going to come back on the camera later on today. I'm just going to try to get this wrapped up because I still have the headstock to do, and I'm not being pushed for time, but I kind of like to wrap this up for the weekend here. I think I get back in on here on this now. do the kind of like fire-ish sort of lightning stuff going on. Call it cosmic goo. And that's going to help me pick up some of these edges on the teeth again, defining, contrasting areas where help me bring out the detail. Shield here. I'm going to create a little highlight. Make that a little bit more hardened surface, a little highlight reflection. Define a little bit better. Okay, now I can move up into this area here. And I also got some of this I can do with this brush or the comb. And that's almost making it appear like this light is kind of making its way through the windings, setting up some volume to these pieces. Some of them are going to make their way around. Do the same thing here. And this starts to bring up some really nice kind of green values as the yellow is sprayed over top of the bluer colors, and really begins to get into that whole complementary value between the orange and the green, the orange and the blue. Flip this around. Whoops. I think I'm gonna need another rubber band. Another rubber band on there. Hold on a second, guys. So I finally figured out how to do the videos on YouTube and then download them, edit them on iMovies, and then I can throw them up on my YouTube channel. So I'm able to utilize my time in two sources, which gives me a little bit more confidence that get them out there a little bit better. Whoops, let's see, I gotta go the other way. There we go. Now I'm working with the yellow. I'm gonna start getting a lot of these really cool color changes and transitions and greens. I'm using the comb in the very same way, always picking up just slight implication of an edge. And it really starts to pull things forward a little bit. I'm going to bring this one up over and then into this one. That allows me to go like this. Same thing up here. Have this one continue. Like that. Back this way. It's all the little things. Let's go back to, I'm going to get my darker value. You know what? No, I'm going to keep on going with this. I'll go over to the other side and just move the camera. So let's see, do you guys any questions? Simon, what's up, brother? You're supposed to be sleeping, man. So this is Simon's guitar. Amazing guitar player, an amazing band. You guys got to check them out. You get a chance. The band is Striker. I imagine he's going to have this out on tour with them at some point in time. Remember, Simon, you're on vacation, buddy. You know what? This would have made a really sweet album cover too, man. Right on, buddy. I look forward to it. I hope you guys get back down to the Denver area. You're gonna need a tank for the road this year, though. No more minivans for you guys. I see a Humvee in your future. Yeah, how's the weather over there in Barcelona, man? You guys getting some decent temperatures? I don't even know where it is. It's just trying to picture where it is, but I'll have to look at a map. You guys close to the equator, or closer than we are here for sure. Closer in Canada, I bet. Oh, that's balmy. Bust out the sunscreen, buddy. 75 degrees. Hey, Kurt, thanks, buddy. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, this has been a great project, and this is really just a result of, having a trusting customer who knows what I do and how I do it, and is giving me the latitude to create something that's very unique, something very one-off. He was looking for something very colorful. Sent me some images that I had, other instruments I had done, things he liked about him. He was very precise in delivering that information to me, and so it was easy. It was an easy read, and I felt that the confidence level was such that I didn't have to really worry too much about what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. I just wanted to create something very, very unique, and I feel like I'm accomplishing that to a certain extent. And I'm really enjoying the project because I'm feeling it and seeing it unfold as I work on it without too many expectations of, this is going to be great, or this is going to be terrible, whose guitar it is, any of that stuff, It's just being able to work like that definitely brings out the best in artists, and I really appreciate that. With Simon, I think we have shared interest in tequila. I don't really drink much beer anymore. In fact, I haven't had a drink of tequila since, or anything, since I got back from Arizona, and just haven't had it. I mean, Crash's celebration of life kind of really put a beating on me with all these people I hadn't seen in a long time. But yeah, he likes the tequila. He's a good dude. Whole band's really cool. Everybody in the band's gonna be like, "Oh man, I gotta get my shit painted." Miserable 75 degrees. I'm telling you. Things you gotta do. Life is a rock star. Let's just have a little bit of fun with the highlights and the yellow here. I think I have to go back in with my... No, I don't have to. Maybe I'll do it this way. Take my comb. I don't know if you guys can see that. But make sure I get the thing. You guys ought to talk to Jackson and say, "Hey man, I need some guitars. But can we slide them over to Learn's place, Let him do a little fun time on them." But who wants to wait that long? Sometimes it can be a while with the shop as busy as they are. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to add some light passes over some of these darker ones with the highlight. That's going to help bring them forward a little bit. Manage the shape or the illusion of some volume on these things. So the last thing I'm going to do here is wrapping up this color. And let's see. Now I got to go out here. Hey Doug, I'd do a snare. That's not a problem. It's all the same materials. Preparation on wood. That sort of thing. Man, that's starting to come together now. Just got this lower segment to do. Try to get this camera right here. that's good. I'm just gonna take this yellow, utilize it to bring up the contrast along the edges of the teeth here. It's all part of the illusion. But fading it out at the same time. So I'm getting a little bit of a gradual tone of the yellow, but more focusing on the relationship right at the edge of that tooth. And if you guys haven't heard of the band Striker, you got to check them out. They got a really great album out there called Ultra Power. And man, this is becoming one of my favorites in rotation. It's just absolutely killer. Those crazy Canadians got nothing else to do in their wintertime but rock and roll. Their time between Timmy Hortons, right? Right, Simon? Yeah, these guys are shredders, man. Total killer band. I really can't emphasize that enough. You need to check them out. Geez, I should be listening to you guys' music while I'm doing this. Maybe Facebook wouldn't blast me if I had the band's permission. Maybe not a bad idea. They get a little pissy about copyright stuff, which I understand. So I've always been playing, you know, the Lords of Distortion stuff whenever I do this, but you know, you can only handle so much of that too. Really subtle. There we go. So the last portion, I'm going to start with the white again on this here. Develop the highlights. So yeah, I've got like 5 airbrushes going right now. This is going to be a pretty psychotic piece. I'm pretty happy with the way it's coming out. Again, I'm going to use my comb, dropping it in right where it was originally with the blue. Then I'm going to follow the length of that highlight like such. And then I'm just going to come in here and go, I'm going to bring that up a little bit more. There we go. And this is come across the top here. See, I'm going to do a little flip-flop in here. I'm going to finish up all the white first, then we'll come back in with the darker color. Here, now we're starting to get a really cool sense of depth on this stuff here. Just knowing where, feeling what's right, how much value needs to be put out here, contrast level. Some of this stuff's going to be really ghosted in the background, so I don't want to get too defined with it, but just enough to, once the clear hits it, it's really going to come to life and make sense. Now I'm going to take the black, or the dark blue, I'm sorry, and let's call it the darker value. How's that? And that can counter some of these shapes out. Lining them up, just enough to pull that edge. You can see it very subtly, but it helps translate between here, where the highlight defines that edge. Now we've shadowed it where it's coming across this one here that we're gonna just take a little bit of a darker value and create that drop shadow down on that piece. And that really starts to give you the sensation of depth you're looking at, giving it a world of three-dimensionality. I'm gonna do the same thing here. And same thing here. Just picking up enough of these edges that you can imagine the rest of it being there. Same here, I'm going to define this edge because it's rolling into the shadow side. Bring that up. All right, now you're really starting to feel the depth and the movement of this stuff down here. So I got a little bit more work to do with this darker value. Excuse me. Get this going here. That back just a little bit. Try to remember this is all going to be pretty much shadow, except for the lights casting over the side, so it's picking up down in here a little bit, but primarily on the skull here, over here, this is going to be defined by darker values and shade. A lot of visual mumbo jumbo, dagger strokes, some dots here and there, kind of working with what I did with all my underpaint, that original blue value. All right, now I can go ahead and put the highlights in on the teeth, and I'm going to be just about done with the front of the guitar. Then I got to move on to headstock. Let's see. Thanks, Chance. Appreciate it, brother. Hi, Deb. How are you? Good to see you guys. Mark, what's up, buddy? So, yeah, a little bit of highlighting here now. I'm going to come back in, and I might even want to brighten this up just a little bit. I think I'll do it. I'm going to throw a couple dots of white in this. All right, so I stepped up the white in this a little bit just to hit these highlights on the teeth a little bit brighter. Some of this stuff I can just make it look like there's saliva kind of coming out of the sides of the mouth here. Hanging off the teeth. More highlights. Sometimes it's just a little dot right at the end of the tooth. Helps accent that a little bit more, bringing it a little bit more into focus and detail. I'm going to come back in here. As we go around here. Man, I think that's just about it. Remember, these are in shadow side, so they're not going to have that brilliance the other side has. There. All right, let's step back with the camera and let you guys check the whole thing out before I shut her down. And like I said, I'll take a break from it and come back, take another look at it, see what I need to change, what needs to happen. Minor adjustments, more so. Pretty much is the way I want it, but it's always good to have a fresh set of eyes on these things at times. So, you guys have a good one.